Number 1. The country cursed by geography. If you open a map of Asia and look closely, you will see that Myanmar occupies a special position between the two greatest ancient centers of civilization in the world, India and China. This location has made Myanmar's culture a unique intersection between South Asia and East Asia. The influence of India is most evident in the fact that Theravada Buddhism is recognized as the state religion. Yet in daily life, people still maintain many rituals and customs bearing the imprint of Chinese Mahayana Buddhism. When visiting pagodas in Yangon or Mandalay, you can easily notice stupas of Indian style, standing next to curved roofs and dragon carvings rich in Chinese character, a rare testimony to such cultural fusion. As a crossroads of many civilizations, Myanmar also became a stopover for migrants from Tibet, Thailand, and Bangladesh. This cultural convergence has turned the country into the home of more than 130 different ethnic groups. However, such ethnic diversity has also brought about numerous conflicts. Throughout its long history, Myanmar was once a battleground for power among more than 60 small kingdoms, each striving to assert its own influence. Over thousands of years, only 3 dynasties succeeded in unifying the country, and each lasted barely a century before collapsing, leaving the process of national cohesion perpetually incomplete. Beyond internal factors, Myanmar's strategic position is also a double-edged sword. Located at the gateway to the Indian Ocean, the country holds a crucial role in trade networks between East and West. This very position has made Myanmar a focal point of influence competition between India and China. Both powers are reluctant to see the nation develop too rapidly or too stably, as that could alter the geopolitical balance of the region. In addition to political challenges, Myanmar also suffers from the harshness of nature. At the end of last March, the country was struck by a powerful earthquake, measuring 7.9 on the Richter scale, killing more than 3,600 people and injuring nearly 6,000. According to data from the US ASEAN Business Council, the economic losses were estimated at 11 billion USD, equivalent to about 20% of the national GDP. The tremors even reached Thailand, causing a building collapse in Bangkok that killed 6 people. What is alarming is that such earthquakes are not rare occurrences. Over the past 80 years, Myanmar has recorded at least 7 quakes exceeding 7 on the Richter scale, not to mention hundreds of smaller tremors. This series of consecutive natural disasters is one of the reasons why, despite its great potential, Myanmar remains among the poorest countries in the world. Number 2. Fascinating cultural traits of Myanmar. The first thing that may surprise visitors upon arriving in Myanmar is that men here wear skirts. Not only men, but women also wear a traditional garment called longyi. For men, this skirt is usually tied tightly in front of the waist, while women skillfully fasten it at the side to create a graceful look. In Scotland or India, men wearing skirts is something seen only on special occasions, but in Myanmar, the longyi is a part of everyday life. A small survey in Yangon showed that over 80% of men wear longyi at least 5 days a week. They believe that this attire is not only comfortable but also keeps the body cooler in the hot tropical climate. When strolling around markets or streets in Myanmar, you will see betel being sold everywhere, from small street stalls at intersections to remote rural areas. Chewing betel is such an ingrained habit among the Burmese that red-stained teeth and lips have become a familiar sight. A study in Yangon even revealed that the total amount of betel consumed annually in Myanmar equals the combined consumption of the entire European Union, the United States, and China. However, the government is now working to limit this habit due to concerns about the risk of oral cancer from frequent chewing. In addition, spitting carelessly has caused many streets in major cities to look as if they were decorated with countless red stains on walls and sidewalks. Unlike in many other countries, people in Myanmar usually eat only 2 meals a day, around 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Traditional meals always include shrimp or fish, 2 ingredients considered the soul of Myanmar cuisine. Locals believe that without them, a meal loses its completeness of flavor. Notably, they have the habit of eating rice with their right hand, as the left hand is regarded as unclean due to its use in personal hygiene. When handing something to someone, you should use your right hand, because offering with both hands may be considered impolite. Finally, if you happen to hear a Burmese girl making repeated chut-chut sounds, don't assume it's a flirtatious gesture. In fact, it's how locals call waiters or waitresses in restaurants or beer shops. When hearing this signal, the staff usually understands that the table needs more beer or food. Another interesting detail is that beer in Myanmar is often served in small teacups, which makes many first-time visitors burst into laughter at this charming contrast. Number 3. Where women have unique beauty practices. Myanmar women may not yet be widely recognized in international beauty rankings, but that does not mean they lack enchanting charm. Their beauty carries a distinctly Asian essence, with smooth, fair skin, delicate facial features, large eyes, and a small nose that together create a gentle yet captivating look. What intrigues many people even more is that they almost always choose the simple traditional skirt, the longi, as their daily attire. This modesty unintentionally enhances their natural allure. If you have ever seen famous faces such as Cha Po, May Mayat Noe, or Nong Kin Zayar wearing modern outfits, you will understand why Myanmar beauty truly deserves greater recognition. Walking through the streets of Yangon or Mandalay, you will easily notice the familiar sight of women with a pale yellow powder applied to their faces. This powder is called thanaka, a traditional cosmetic made from the bark and roots of a fragrant tree. To create thanaka, people carefully grind pieces of the wood on a smooth stone slab with water to form a creamy paste. This cosmetic is believed to protect against sunlight, soothe the skin, and prevent acne. Despite the rapid growth of modern beauty technology, more than 70% of Burmese women still use thanaka daily. Perhaps it is this very habit that keeps their skin so smooth that even many Western cosmetic brands envy it. In addition to the thanaka powder, some Myanmar women, especially those in the western mountainous regions, also bear unique tattoos on their faces. The story originates from an ancient legend about a lustful king who kidnapped beautiful girls to take as his wives. To protect their daughters, villagers came up with a daring idea, tattooing their faces to make them appear less attractive in the king's eyes. Over time, this act of self-protection evolved into a cultural tradition. Each ethnic group developed its own style. The Yai people typically tattoo small black dots. The Moon people prefer carving letters like P or D, while the Chin tribe favors intricate and irregular patterns. Their traditional tattooing technique was also primitive and painful. The Burmese made ink by mixing soot with tree resin, then used sharp thorns to pierce the skin and inject the ink deep inside. Today, for safety reasons, the Myanmar government has completely banned facial tattooing, so these patterns can now only be seen on the faces of elderly women in rural areas, living remnants of a bygone custom. Number 4. A paradise for criminals. The city of Mong La, located in the notorious Golden Triangle region, has long been regarded as one of the largest centers of transnational criminal activity in Asia. Within an area of only about 5,000 square kilometers, it is believed to harbor more than 30 organized crime groups, with a total of around 20,000 direct and indirect members. In Mong La, the concept of law has almost lost its practical meaning. Criminal gangs not only control the underground economy, but have also replaced the functions of local authorities. They maintain their own armed security force, estimated at around 2,000 personnel, responsible for controlling transportation routes, protecting territories, and even collecting taxes from both residents and businesses. In some border areas, immigration regulations are virtually non-existent. Travelers departing from China's Yunnan province can easily drive into Mong La without presenting any documentation. This laxity has turned the city into a safe haven for transnational crime syndicates seeking to evade law enforcement. The underground economy in Mong La operates on a massive scale with a high degree of sophistication. It is estimated that each year, the amount of money transacted through illegal systems here exceeds 4 billion USD. A large portion of this comes from cross-border gambling operations, attracting more than 500,000 Chinese participants placing online bets. The funds are transferred through underground banking systems, while players can watch the results via live broadcasts. Alongside this are drug trafficking networks worth hundreds of millions of dollars annually, directly connected to production hubs in the Golden Triangle. In local markets, the trade of wildlife products also takes place openly under the guise of civilian goods, generating enormous profits for criminal groups. The city also possesses a well-developed infrastructure system designed to facilitate money laundering. Dozens of hotels, resorts, and power plants have been established solely to disguise illicit financial flows. Some projects even use counterfeit international brand names to create a legitimate facade. According to experts, about 70% of investment capital in Mong La originates from financial crime. These funds are blended into the legal economy through international transactions, making tracing nearly impossible. Goods from Mongla can appear in China, Europe, and even Africa within a few weeks, leading the United States and many Western countries to regard it as one of the most dangerous security hotspots in Southeast Asia. Number 5. The world's only ghost capital city. The city of Naypyidaw has existed for just over 17 years, making it one of the youngest capitals in the world. Construction began in 2002, located in central Myanmar, about 320 kilometers north of the former capital Yangon. To build the new city, the Myanmar government mobilized at least 25 domestic companies to participate in the project, with a total cost exceeding $4 billion USD. Although it was declared the capital in 2005, Naypyidaw did not actually complete the necessary infrastructure for full operation until 2012. The city was planned according to a clearly separated zoning model, with each area serving a distinct function. Residential districts were designed in an orderly and uniform manner, with 4-story buildings whose roof colors indicated the occupations of their residents. For example, employees of the Ministry of Health live in buildings with brown roofs, while those working for the Ministry of Agriculture reside in green-roofed housing complexes. Normally, a nation's capital is its most bustling and dynamic place, attracting both residents and tourists. However, Naypyidaw completely defies that rule. Despite its modern infrastructure and pre-built housing, the city remains so sparsely populated that it has been dubbed a ghost city. While Myanmar's total population is about 54 million, with Yangon alone home to 14 million people, Naypyidaw has fewer than 1 million residents. The contrast becomes even more striking, considering that the city was planned across a vast area of 7,054 square kilometers, nearly 4 times the size of London and more than 6 times that of New York. Apart from the sanitation workers performing their daily duties, there are few signs that the city is truly alive. This capital is also one of the few places in the world that knows nothing of traffic jams. On its 20-lane roads, only a few cars or solitary pedestrians and cyclists occasionally appear. The eerie emptiness of the scene once led The Guardian to describe Naypyidaw as a surreal image, like an American suburb after the apocalypse, a modern capital both vast and hauntingly deserted. Number 6. The most unstable nation in the world. Myanmar is going through the deepest and most complex crisis in its modern history. Since the 2021 military coup that overthrew the elected government, the country has been trapped in a civil war lasting more than 4 years. Over 82,000 people have been killed, and more than 3.2 million have been forced to flee their homes to escape the violence. The security situation has become so severe that in 2024, Forbes ranked Yangon, Myanmar's largest economic center, among the 3 most dangerous cities in the world. The military government now controls only about 1/5 of the territory, while most of the country lies in the hands of resistance forces, armed militias, and local warlords. Although the 2021 coup was the final trigger, the roots of Myanmar's turmoil date back decades earlier. Since 1948, when the Karen National Union emerged as the first ethnic armed organization, the country has been caught in an unending spiral of conflict. With 135 ethnic groups and nearly 100 different languages, Myanmar has long struggled with ethnic and religious divisions that have persisted for centuries. According to the Global Peace Index, Myanmar consistently ranks among the 15 least peaceful nations in the world and has maintained this position for nearly 2 decades. The 2024 Fragile States Index, FSI, also placed Myanmar among the top 10 countries most at risk of collapse or severe instability. The impact of the war is clearly visible in daily life. Many villages have been completely burned down during clashes. A typical example is Kinma village, where more than 40 gunmen set fire to a single house, causing the flames to spread and destroy 100 of the 225 homes. The British Embassy in Myanmar accused the military of being responsible, citing claims that the village had shown signs of opposition to the regime. Incidents like this are no longer rare but have become a constant nightmare for those living in conflict zones. Alongside the violence, Myanmar's economy has also plunged into severe collapse. Inflation has devalued the kyat to the point where just $10 can be exchanged for an entire kilogram of banknotes. Switching to the US dollar has become a necessity for most people. Even at the airport, international visitors are often approached by locals, including police officers, offering currency exchange under the pretext of ease of spending. In a BBC report, a 6-year-old man named Win Tun shared that inflation had forced him, once able to afford meat every day, to survive now only on plain rice with salt. Number 7. Myanmar was once a very wealthy country. In the past, Myanmar was known as one of the wealthiest and most developed nations in Southeast Asia. The country once played a central role in regional trade and was famous as a major rice exporting power. In the 1,960 seconds, Myanmar's GDP per capita reached about $670, an impressive figure for that period. This income level was 3 times higher than Indonesia's, double that of Thailand, and second only to the Philippines in the region. Economists at the time believed that Myanmar had great potential to become one of the strongest economies in Asia if it maintained that pace of development. In addition to its agricultural advantages, Myanmar also possessed a highly educated workforce. During the first half of the 20th century, the country had the highest literacy rate in Southeast Asia, a rare achievement in the developing region at that time. This provided a strong foundation for industrialization and economic growth. Furthermore, Myanmar was blessed with abundant natural resources, particularly precious gemstones. The country once supplied up to 90% of the world's ruby production, generating enormous revenue. However, a large portion of these gemstones was smuggled out of the country, mainly to Thailand and Hong Kong, before being sold onto Western and Chinese markets. Beyond gemstones, Myanmar was also renowned for its world-class teak wood. Teak trees grow quickly, reaching heights of 30 to 40 meters, and trunk diameters of up to 80 centimeters when mature. This wood is known for its durability, strength, and resistance to warping, cracking, and water damage. Thanks to these qualities, teak became a highly prized material for manufacturing luxury furniture, gun stocks, and yacht building. However, if Myanmar's past was once glorious, its present is a stark contrast. According to the International Monetary Fund, IMF, the country's total GDP now stands at only about $68 billion, while its population has surpassed 55 million. Myanmar's economy today is only about 1.5 times larger than Cambodia's, despite having nearly 3 times the population. When calculated per capita, the average annual income is just over $1,200, lower than both Cambodia and even East Timor. Notably, in the 1,960 seconds, Thailand and Malaysia had GDP per capita levels similar to Myanmar's. Yet today, Thailand has reached nearly $7,000, and Malaysia exceeds $13,000 per year. Number 8. The tragedy on Ramree Island. Ramree Island lies on the Bay of Bengal and is the largest island in Myanmar, covering an area of about 1,350 square kilometers. The island is separated from the mainland by a narrow strait, only about 150 meters wide, and is connected by a single bridge. This was once the battlefield of one of the bloodiest clashes between the Japanese Imperial Army and the Allied forces in early 1945. At that time, the British Royal Marines, in coordination with an Indian infantry brigade, launched a large-scale assault on the island with the goal of establishing a strategic airbase. However, they met fierce resistance from the Japanese, leading to extremely brutal combat. After days of intense fighting, the Allied forces eventually gained the upper hand and broke into the base of a Japanese infantry regiment, forcing about 1,000 enemy soldiers to flee in chaos. Under pressure from attacks on all sides, the Japanese chose the shortest retreat route through a vast swamp more than 16 kilometers long that stretched across the island in an attempt to regroup with forces on the other side. They refused all calls for surrender from the British, but this decision marked the beginning of one of the most horrifying tragedies in the history of World War II, as nearly the entire regiment was wiped out. As the Japanese soldiers advanced into the swamp, they encountered harsh natural conditions. The thick, sticky mud slowed their movements, while mosquitoes, snakes, spiders, and highly venomous scorpions constantly attacked them. Hunger, thirst, and artillery fire from the shore further weakened their strength. Yet the worst nightmare was still ahead. The swamp area on Ramree Island was home to countless giant saltwater crocodiles, the most dangerous reptiles on the planet, averaging about 7 meters in length and weighing nearly 1 ton. Many soldiers became trapped waist-deep in the mud, unable to move, and their only response was to fire wildly into the darkness against the terrifying sounds surrounding them. In the end, of more than 1,000 Japanese soldiers, only about 20 survived and made it out of the swamp. This horrifying story was recorded by British naturalist and soldier Bruce Stanley Wright, who directly took part in the island campaign. Although some historians and biologists today still question the accuracy of the account, no evidence has yet been found strong enough to disprove it. The tragic event in the Ramree swamp remains listed in the Guinness World Records as the deadliest crocodile attack in history. Number 9. A place that defies all laws of physics. The Kyaiktiyo Golden Rock Pagoda is one of the most sacred ancient temples in Myanmar, with a history of more than 2,500 years. The pagoda is located on a rock at an altitude of about 1,100 meters above sea level, near the town of Kyaiktiyo in Thaton District, about 210 kilometers from Yangon. In the Mon language, the word Kyaik means pagoda, while Tio means on the head. So, Kyaiktiyo translates to the pagoda placed on the head. In addition to its traditional name, it is also known as the Golden Rock Pagoda, because the entire structure is built upon a golden boulder 7.3 meters high, with a circumference of about 15.2 meters, and is entirely covered in gold leaf. What makes the Golden Rock Pagoda so famous is its extraordinary location. The massive boulder on which the pagoda stands teeters on the edge of a mountain, touching the cliff at a surface area of less than 1 square meter. From a distance, it looks as though the rock could tumble into the abyss at any moment, yet for thousands of years it has remained perfectly balanced, seemingly defying the laws of gravity. This mysterious existence is tied to a well-known Buddhist legend. According to the story, during his travels through this land, the Buddha Gautama gave a strand of his hair to a hermit. Upon the hermit's death, he instructed that the sacred relic be protected by placing it inside a holy rock. The celestial beings and Naga serpent spirits retrieved a boulder from the bottom of the sea and placed it on Kyaiktiyo Hill. It is said that the Buddha's hair enshrined within keeps the rock balanced on the mountainside for millennia. For the people of Myanmar, the Golden Rock Pagoda is a symbol of faith and blessing. They believe that bowing before and touching the rock can bring good fortune, wealth, and prosperity. Visitors often buy thin gold leaves to press onto the rock while praying. However, according to tradition, only men are allowed to perform this ritual, while women must remain behind an iron fence, offering their prayers and gifts from afar. Locals also believe that those who make a pilgrimage to the pagoda 3 times in a single year will receive divine blessings and enjoy good fortune in life. From its elevation of over 1,000 meters, the pagoda appears to float amid a sea of white clouds. From this vantage point, visitors can take in the vast panorama of endless mountain ranges and forests. The combination of unique architecture, the surreal beauty of the precariously balanced golden rock, and the sacred atmosphere has made the Golden Rock Pagoda one of Myanmar's most renowned pilgrimage destinations, attracting tens of thousands of devotees and international visitors each year. It is also worth noting that the best time to visit is during the dry season, typically from November to March, when the weather is clear, the paths to the pagoda are easier to travel, and the surrounding scenery is at its most magnificent. Number 10. The most terrifying and dangerous places in Myanmar. Located in Kachin State in northern Myanmar, Indagi Lake is considered one of the largest freshwater lakes in Southeast Asia, and also one of the most mysterious natural phenomena in the region. Its surface appears calm, yet on windless days, the water can be seen gently pulsating as if breathing. Ripples spread evenly from the center of the lake, appearing without any observable changes in air pressure or geological movement that could explain them. This strange phenomenon has puzzled scientists for decades, with no definitive explanation found. At the heart of the lake stands the floating Shwe Mietsu Pagoda, an ancient wooden structure believed by locals to be the most sacred site in the area. What is astonishing is that, despite having no foundation or supporting pillars anchored to the lakebed, the pagoda has remained upright and stable for centuries, even when the water level rises or waves grow large. Several research teams have placed sensors around the site to record vibrations, but the data revealed unusual readings inconsistent with natural water movement. It seems as though some invisible force is influencing the pagoda structure, something that modern science has yet to explain. Local residents believe that beneath the lake lies a sacred breath, where the spiritual essence of earth and water intertwine, creating the energy that keeps the pagoda afloat. Meanwhile, geologists propose theories involving natural gas pockets, or unique subaqueous formations deep beneath the lakebed. However, every detailed survey has faced technical malfunctions. Measuring instruments experience interference or even complete signal loss when approaching the lake's center, making the mystery even more perplexing. Moving southward to central Myanmar, Shan State conceals another enigma within the sacred Pindaya Cave, a site that houses more than 8,000 Buddha statues made of gold, wood, and stone over the centuries. On the surface, it appears to be a well-known religious pilgrimage site, but what has drawn global attention are local accounts claiming that some of the statues inside can move on their own. In 2007, during an inventory project, local monks photographed the entire collection of statues for archival purposes. When they returned, 6 months later, they discovered that about 40 small statues had shifted several meters from their original positions, even though the cave's entrance remained securely locked with no signs of intrusion. When research teams installed cameras to monitor the site, the footage repeatedly failed at night, and each time the signal returned, the statues had already moved. Some scientists suggest that the movement could be due to extremely slow geological subsidence causing the cave floor to shift, but this theory cannot explain why only certain statues were affected. For the locals, this is not a physical phenomenon, but a sign of enlightenment, symbolizing that the spirits within the statues are moving to illuminate the spiritual path of pilgrims. Number 11. Famous tourist destination. The ancient city of Bagan is located in central Myanmar, within the Mandalay Administrative Region, stretching along the gentle Irrawaddy River. This land has an arid landscape, with its distinctive reddish-golden soil, creating a scene that resembles a small desert in the heart of Asia. Covering an area of about 104 square kilometers, Bagan is famous for its complex of thousands of temples, pagodas, and stupas built mainly during the 11th and 12th centuries, a period marking the transition from Mahayana to Theravada Buddhism. In 2019, UNESCO officially recognized Bagan as a World Cultural Heritage Site, honoring its outstanding historical, architectural, and religious value as a place that preserves the essence of a civilization thousands of years old. One of the most memorable experiences in Bagan is watching the sunset, a moment that every visitor eagerly awaits. There are many ideal spots to admire this breathtaking view, such as that BNU Temple or Damayangi Temple, both offering perfect elevation and wide-open vistas. However, the place hailed as the most beautiful sunset viewpoint is still the ancient Shwedagon Temple, affectionately called the Sun Pagoda by locals. Bagan seems to be especially favored by nature, with sunshine almost every day of the year, clear blue skies, and very few clouds. Under the fiery red glow of dusk, thousands of ancient temples cast long shadows across the dry plains, creating a scene both majestic and sacred, as if one were stepping into an ancient film depicting the golden age of Buddhism. The next equally impressive destination is the Kagon Cave of 10,000 Buddhas, located near the city of Hipaan in southern Myanmar. This ancient limestone cave lies hidden on a hillside, where nature and human craftsmanship intertwine to form a truly unique spiritual space. What makes Kagon famous is the sheer number of Buddha statues carved and placed in every corner of the cave. A British scholar once described that from floor to ceiling, from rock walls to tiny crevices, every surface is covered with Buddha images. Some statues are gilded and gleaming, others carved from stone, clay, wood, or marble. This diversity makes the site appear like an endless sea of statues, so vast that even a 500-ton ship could not contain half of them. In 2007, Kagon underwent a large-scale restoration project aimed at preserving its ancient statues and safeguarding its cultural and religious heritage. Today, it still houses thousands of Buddha images in various styles, vividly reflecting the evolution of artistic expression through different historical periods. What is particularly fascinating is that while Kagon's foundation is deeply rooted in Buddhism, its patterns and reliefs still show clear traces of Hindu artistic influence, demonstrating the rich interweaving of faiths throughout Myanmar's history. Kagon Cave is not only a sacred pilgrimage site, but also a living museum of ancient religion, culture, and art, attracting countless visitors and scholars from around the world. Number 12. Unique festivals every traveler should know. The Thing Yan Festival is considered the biggest cultural event of the year in Myanmar, associated with the tradition of welcoming the new year according to the Theravada Buddhist calendar. Its origin lies in ancient beliefs about rebirth and spiritual purification, reflecting the desire to begin a new cycle with a clear and peaceful mind. In mid-April, major cities such as Yangon and Mandalay overflow with laughter, music, and crowds of people joining in joyful water splashing activities. The pouring of water symbolizes washing away the misfortunes of the old year and welcoming a bright new beginning. People also share traditional dishes that are prepared only for this occasion and take part in vibrant music and dance performances. Thingyan is not only a time for celebration, but also a sacred moment that strengthens community bonds, unity, and compassion among people. After the lively atmosphere of the new year, the Thadingyut festival brings a completely different tone, calmer and more spiritual. Its origin comes from the story of the Buddha returning to Earth after preaching to his mother in heaven, marking a time of gratitude and remembrance. Held in October, Thadingyut illuminates all of Myanmar with thousands of glowing candles surrounding temples, creating a magical and solemn scene. People make pilgrimages to pray, offer alms, and express deep gratitude to their parents, teachers, and those who have guided them through life. Beyond its spiritual significance, the festival also carries educational meaning, reminding people to live with kindness, virtue, and respect for the nation's tradition of filial piety. Following that, the Ananda Festival, held at the Ananda Temple in Bagan every January, is one of Myanmar's oldest and most solemn religious celebrations. Throughout the event, hundreds of monks gather to receive offerings from the people, while lively traditional markets attract visitors from near and far. Locals participate in prayers, charitable giving, and good deeds as expressions of reverence toward the Buddha. In doing so, the festival helps maintain the deep connection between religion, culture, and daily life, while encouraging compassion and generosity among people. Concluding the series of Myanmar's vibrant annual celebrations is the Tongyi Balloon Festival, one of the most colorful and creative events in the country. Originating from the ancient custom of releasing sky lanterns for good luck, it has evolved into a large-scale hot air balloon competition held every November in Tongyi City. Hundreds of giant balloons, intricately decorated, soar into the night sky, accompanied by fireworks and lively music, creating a dazzling and breathtaking spectacle. This event not only symbolizes joy and hope for a prosperous new year, but also celebrates the creativity and artistic spirit of the Myanmar people. Number 13. Famous local dishes. Mohinga is considered Myanmar's national breakfast dish, a culinary symbol that has been part of the country's culture for centuries. Dating back to ancient kingdoms, the dish was once a staple morning meal for laborers, and gradually became an essential part of every festival and celebration. For the Burmese people, eating mohinga is not only about starting a new day, but also about fostering community bonds, as locals often gather around small roadside stalls to enjoy it together. The soul of the dish lies in its broth, made from fish, lemongrass, onions, and garlic, creating a fragrant aroma and a uniquely rich flavor. Soft rice noodles, creamy boiled eggs, and crispy fritters complete the harmony of tastes, evoking a sense of warmth and familiarity reminiscent of a family meal. If mohinga represents comfort and connection, fried insects sit at the opposite end of the spectrum, leaving a bold impression through a sensory experience. The insects are deep fried to a golden crisp, keeping their wings, eyes, and legs intact, sparking both curiosity and hesitation in onlookers. When chewed, they make a crunchy sound that feels both strange and surprisingly delightful. The natural richness of insect protein blended with local spices creates a dish full of authentic regional character, entirely different from conventional meats. For Western visitors, overcoming the psychological barrier to taste this dish is often one of the most unforgettable culinary adventures in Myanmar. Shan noodles take diners on a more refined culinary journey, where each ingredient is carefully chosen. Locals typically use fresh rice noodles, chicken or pork, and seasonal herbs to preserve the natural balance of flavors. During preparation, the meat is slowly simmered to produce a clear, sweet broth, while the noodles are blanched just right to maintain their chewiness. Once served, the steaming bowl releases a fragrant aroma of garlic oil. The dish achieves a perfect harmony between the gentle sweetness of the broth, the nutty richness of peanuts, and the mild tang of lime, offering a refreshing and soothing taste. In contrast to the delicacy of Shan noodles, raw duck blood soup challenges even the bravest diners. The Burmese believe that raw blood contains pure energy that strengthens the body. However, for most international visitors, the dish's bright red color, thick texture, and metallic taste present a real test of courage. Consuming raw duck blood mixed with spices and minced organs is not only visually shocking, but also reflects profound differences in spiritual beliefs and culinary traditions among cultures. Concluding this gastronomic journey is Lafet Thok, Myanmar's signature fermented tea leaf salad. This dish not only aids digestion, but also carries deep cultural meaning, symbolizing hospitality and the harmony between humans and nature. The mild sourness of fermented tea leaves, the subtle bitterness, the nutty flavor of peanuts, and the spiciness of dried chili combine into a captivating symphony of tastes, making Lafet Thok a dish that truly embodies the cultural essence of the land of pagodas. Number 14. Important tips for travelers. When traveling in Myanmar, the first thing visitors need to remember is that the country's transportation system and infrastructure remain limited. In mountainous or remote rural areas, roads are often in poor condition, full of potholes, and rarely have proper signage. Mobile phone signals are nearly non-existent in many regions, making it difficult to navigate or call for help in emergencies. Therefore, instead of driving yourself, it is advisable to hire a car with a local driver who is familiar with the terrain to minimize risks. In addition, you should prepare a physical map, download offline maps in advance, and always inform your hotel or relatives of your travel route. It is especially recommended not to travel at night in remote areas due to limited visibility and a high risk of accidents. Another important precaution is to avoid visiting areas experiencing conflict or under the control of armed groups, such as Rakhine, Shan, and Kachin states. These regions often have a military presence, checkpoints, and the potential for sudden clashes. To ensure safety, you should regularly check travel advisories issued by embassies or diplomatic authorities. Do not enter border zones or restricted areas without permission, and always carry your passport and identification documents to present when requested. If your trip requires passing through remote areas, register your travel plans with local authorities in advance and travel with a licensed guide. When visiting temples or religious sites, visitors must remove their shoes and walk barefoot as a sign of respect. However, this can pose health risks, especially when the ground is hot or unsanitary. You should bring disposable thin socks to protect your feet. Carry disinfectant wipes to clean them after leaving the worship area, and check regularly for cuts or abrasions. Additionally, avoid stepping on wet ground after rain, as rainwater may carry bacteria from drains or nearby contaminated areas. Myanmar's healthcare system, except in major cities like Yangon and Mandalay, remains very limited in both equipment and personnel. Even minor injuries can become serious if not treated promptly. Travelers should bring a personal first aid kit containing essentials such as bandages, antiseptics, anti-diarrheal medication, and malaria prevention pills. It is also important to purchase travel insurance that includes international medical evacuation services, allowing transfer to a hospital in another country if necessary. Moreover, Myanmar frequently experiences power outages and water shortages, especially during the dry season or in areas far from urban centers. These disruptions can affect food storage, the use of electronic devices, and access to basic necessities. To be prepared, travelers should carry a portable power bank, a small flashlight, and at least 2 liters of bottled water on each trip. When choosing accommodation, prioritize hotels with backup generators, and avoid consuming food that has been left outdoors in the heat to reduce the risk of food poisoning. Number 15. Cost of living. If you are planning to come to Myanmar to study, work, or live long-term, it is essential to understand the real cost of living before making your decision. Housing costs take up a significant portion of a foreigner's monthly budget. In central Yangon, where most job opportunities and modern services are concentrated, renting a 1-bedroom apartment typically ranges from $350 to $500 per month. For those looking to save money and willing to live farther from the city center, suburban or outskirt residential areas are reasonable options, with prices ranging from about $180 to $280. Although cheaper, these areas still offer quiet and safe environments, suitable for those seeking a stable living space. Transportation in Myanmar is relatively convenient and inexpensive. City buses and small passenger trucks are the main modes of transport, with fares ranging from $0.2 to $0.6 per trip. If you prefer more flexibility in terms of time and route, taxis or ride-hailing services are popular choices, usually costing between $1 and $2 for short distances. In addition, Visitors or long-term expatriates can rent self-drive cars for around $20 to $30 per day, excluding fuel. Food expenses in Myanmar are also quite flexible depending on personal habits. For those who cook at home, buying groceries can keep monthly food costs between $100 and $140. Meanwhile, if you eat out frequently, a meal at a casual eatery costs about $1 to $1.8. While dining at higher quality restaurants may range from $3.5 to $7 for a full meal. There are also smaller expenses that many people tend to overlook, such as sanitation fees, home maintenance costs, or administrative fees for residence registration. Although these are not large individually, they can add up and create financial pressure if not planned for in advance. Overall, the average cost of living for a single person in Myanmar ranges from about $500 to $700 per month, which is sufficient for a comfortable lifestyle. For those who live frugally, this amount can be reduced to around $400. While those who frequently engage in leisure activities, travel, or dine out may spend up to $900 or more per month. Surely, after discovering these 15 incredible facts about Myanmar, you've gotten a glimpse of the unique charm of this country. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our upcoming journeys. Which fact impressed you the most? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. The information is for reference only, so please do your own research before making any decisions.